音止まったな。あれ、始まっちゃった。でも今回は大丈夫そうだな。性能もひどかったから。はい。んえ、そういう情報公開法に沿って申請し、ゲストとしてアクセス権を取得しておいたよ。Y2K 騒ぎやらなんやら。SB。 動かせるんだ。ロジックデータについて。犯罪対処に対するための最重要ツールとしてコンピューターの需要は今後も一般的に一層高まっていくことが予想されます。強盗。テープの文字を起こした資料などが手元にある場合は発言の全文をダブルクォーテーションで書くことでオーガナゼーション DB チェッカー。なんだそれ。ゴミ箱。グレースハック。すいません、こういうのなんか増えた。赤顔なんだ。はい。自分で置けと。すごい適当に置いてるけど、価値が決まったらなんかあんのかな。 計6月16日7時ちょい過ぎ。まあ見てみるか。
You think it's murder? I mean, clearly it's murder. What can I do to help?
それだけ？
Yeah, that's me. But February, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder?
サイモン？
Yeah, that's me. But February, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder? I'd like to speak to a lawyer now. Please. You have no murder weapon. You have nothing. And all these stories we've been telling each other. Just that. Stories.
なんか光ったわけじゃないか。サイモン。これがまた出てくるんだ。
Yeah, that's me. But February, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder?
Mm. 逆に検索履歴ね。これ何も入れないで検索したら全部出てくるの？いっぱい出てきた。
Black coffee, thanks. No sugar. Sweet enough as it is. My name is Hannah. Hannah. It's Pandre. It reads the same backwards as forwards. It doesn't work if you mirror it though. It's not quite symmetrical, but well, I mean, you get the idea. Sorry. Hannah Smith. I live at 31 Gladstone Street.
名前は重要そう。
Simon Smith. He works at Ernst Brothers Glass. They do windows, all kinds of glass. Simon does the more special work. Mirror making, feature windows, artistic things. Really beautiful things.
会社の名前も。
A mobile phone? Yeah. Well, they have one for the Glaziers, but it's only for work. I can't remember the number. It's in the kitchen. I saw it plugged into its charging cradle.
これもなんか気になるんだ。携帯電話どっかに。携帯電話について何か。
Simon is 6 foot, darkish blonde hair, average build. He's clean shaven. If his beard grows, it goes ginger, so he shaves it. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with ginger hair. And border photo instead of spring photo. This was taken last year on holiday in Rome. It's the best one I have.
なんか重要そうな名前
Simon Smith.
じゃなく
He
て
works at Ernst Brothers Glass.
アーン
They
ス
do
トブラザ
windows,
ー
all
ズ
kinds of glass. Simon does all kinds of glass. Simon does.
伸ばしすぎ。いやでもそっか、これが出てきちゃうんだ。じゃあでもちゃんと入れたら出てくるかな。ああ、やっぱこれしか出てこないな。
My name is Hannah. Hannah. It's a palindrome. It reads the same backwards as forwards. It doesn't work if you mirror it though. It's not.
カタカナでいいのかな。うわ、いっぱい出てきた。19個。6月94年6月30日か。
What are you doing talking about Eve?
イブ。イブ。これがちょっと待って。これが6月30日。あ、いいのか。94年7月3日。こっちが先なのか。で、こっちが後で、で、これはさらに未来の話か。
Yes, my name is Hannah Smith. Oh, shit. Sorry. Across the road, where my parents first lived there, was a midwife called Florence. When Hannah was born, I was born at the same time. The midwife was there to help. I'd been throttled by the cord, probably wrapped around my neck by Hannah. The midwife told my mother I was dead. But I wasn't. She wrote all this stuff in a diary.
え
Amazing what people will admit to on paper.
双子なんか今出てきた。イブなのか。
She recognized me from the window. She told me to come inside, and she hid me. They had made the attic into a place where Hannah could play. It was a dollhouse. She hid me up there. No one else ever went into the attic. It was her place.
とちょっともう一回、いや、今メモ帳を別で用意しました。
She recognized me from the window. She told me to come inside, and she hid me. They had made the attic into a place where Hannah could play. It was a dollhouse. She hid me up there. No one else ever went into the attic. It was her place.
花まあイブだよね。イブってこっちのイブだったっけ。こっちのイブであったっけ。あ、一人一個新しいの。
Differences? She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything. She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl. Hannah met him first. She had such a crush. I let him take my virginity after a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity. It's not that different to a bruise, pulling a tooth, a graze. We used a hairbrush. After that, we took it in turns, though I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon.
じゃあ先にフローレンスが気になるからあれフローレンス
Florence took me home with her. Mother hadn't been expecting twins and had a healthy baby. I guess she was just happy for Florence to clean up. Take away the evidence that this was anything but a happy occasion. Florence raised me in her home. I never left it. She kept me out of sight. It wasn't odd for people to see a midwife with a baby, carrying in supplies, washing nappies, that sort of thing. I never knew any different. I grew up looking out of my window and seeing her across the road. I thought it was like a reflection in the mirror. She was me. Florence was a warm, kind person.
うん
But she was broken, I guess.
そうだよね
When I found her diary, I also found a biscuit tin with other stuff in it. Older papers, letters, that kind of thing. Her story was in there. I never really spoke to her about it. I was far too young to really understand, I guess. I just put it together later, once I was older. She had loved children, planned to have a large family, but her husband died in the war. And that was back when you married for life. She never felt like she could marry again. Isn't that strange? She was a widow from her 20s. But, I mean, I guess it was different then. You know, you married for life and she felt she could never marry again. I guess it was harder, a war widow. Honour the dead. I don't know, maybe there was more to it than that. I don't really know.
No.
No. It was just me and her. It was the name they were going to call their first child. They talked about it and I'm going to try when he came back. Florence's family had a history of firstborn girls, so they were convinced it was going to be a girl. It's hard to know if this is all true. These are stories I remember, that I read when I was a child. Maybe I misread, maybe I misunderstood. Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened last week.
フローレンスについてのなんかでもこれ5件だけしか見れないのがほんと難しいよね。映像字幕なんか増えてたりする？いや増えてないわな。あと気になるのはカールか。カールあ増えた。こっちは花。
Was he my first? No need to be so coy. No, he wasn't my first. That would have been Carl. He was a local boy in a band. He was a bit of a shit. But he was sexy. We were 15.
一応自分で入れられるんだ。どうする？いやまあなんかそんなに15歳15歳
No, I was 15. Carl was older, 17, I think. I was really into him, regardless of how he actually behaved. Lots of drunken teenage sex. We did it in a church once. Stupid. So he got tired of us and we split up after about 6 months.
そうなんだ。
It was sad, but those early experiences, they help you realise who's really important to you, you know? Family. Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there, and then Simon.
家族ね。
Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous, didn't want to share. Even the first date. We went to see Tom Cruise at the Old Odeon. We both went. Kept changing places in the toilet. We only had one best dress, so we had to keep swapping clothes. Must have thought we had terrible bladder problems.
同じ服
The next date, it was
まあ
my
でも
turn.
別の服着てたらな
At
ん
the
か
end, I let him kiss me. But that was it. We didn't want another card on our hands, and the Ouija board had said to hold back. After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke the rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him. I mean, that's when she got pregnant. From that one time.
うわなんか出てきた。じゃあライブでなんかかかる。ああそれだけか。戦争あもう一個出てきた。
When we weren't together, we'd send secret messages by tapping out a code that we'd learned from a book. The knock code. Something prisoners of war would use. We'd tap them out on radiator pipes or the attic floor. Dad thought we had mice, but they couldn't find any. Bought a cat anyway.
ちょっともう一回見てみる。
When we weren't together, we'd send secret messages by tapping out a code that we'd learned from a book. The knock code. Something prisoners of war would use. We'd tap them out on radiator pipes or the attic floor.
大事なやつかもしれん。でこれもそうだよね。なんて言ってんだろう。20代ないか。未亡人ないか。出ないか。15歳。ああこれだけか。17歳。カールの年齢でしょ。あなんか増えた。7秒。
A long time. We got married when I was 17.
結婚17歳なの。ああ結婚。結婚ね。 17。
Yeah, we were 17. It was a nice wedding, people said. Simon looked very handsome in the photos. His parents paid for everything, but he's an only child, so it was important to them. It was what they called a shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was beautiful. It looked like Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long, though. There's a great photo of the bridesmaid helping to carry it out of the car.
トレーンって聞かない言葉だけど。
No. The parents decided there would be a wedding. And after the wedding, Hannah moved in with his parents. There was no way I could follow, so we were separated again. I stayed in the attic.
屋根裏に残ったんだ。
It was hard. It's like I suddenly didn't exist. I would sneak out, but in case anyone recognized me, I started wearing a wig.
ウィッグ
Hannah and I would meet up in the park. I was trying to get pregnant. But I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do it with anyone we knew, so it was sex with strangers. Drunk guys I'd met in clubs, in parks and alleyways. I was 17. It felt like I was being punished. But it was Hannah who had betrayed us. I had to stop when one of the guys gave me an STD. When we met up, it was disturbing. For the first time, my reflection, she didn't look like me. She was fatter, flushed. If anything, I was getting skinnier. I found it hard to look sometimes. We talked about what to do. Was it time to become our own people? I mean, that seemed like the right thing to do, but neither of us wanted it. We agreed that her and Simon would get their own place as soon as possible, and then I could move in. And that was the plan.
おお。まだ17歳までだよな。気になった。残しときたいやつ。いやでもこれ一応残しとか詳しく書いてるし。詳しく言及してるしか。あ、1個増えた。これがいつだ？あ、でも早いね。
Yeah, when I was at school. I worked part-time in the front shop. It was sort of an extended family thing. My dad used to work there, my mum worked there before I was born. I took care of paperwork, filing, typing out invoices, that kind of thing. It was a good job for a girl back then. I didn't work a till or anything though. I was quite shy, so I wouldn't have liked to have worked a till. どうだ？うわ、いっぱい出てきた。13あるんだ。うわ I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married.
Mm.
No. I lost the baby. I had a miscarriage at 8 months.
Ah.
We carried on living at Simon's parents until, well, it was only a few months after.
そうなんだ。本当か？本当か？
Yes. I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back. Me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there.
うん。
Yes, I'm fine. Oh, I was sick again.
イブか？
This
What's
happens
your-
some days. I'm pregnant. It's morning sickness.
え、
No. Well, yes. He found out on my birthday. I told him I was pregnant.
なるほど。君の誕生日ってことは花の誕生日でもあるってことだよな。でもサイモンは同じ人間だと思ってるわけだからな。なんだっけ。このいやーダメか。この音を
What are you doing talking about Eve?
음. 메시지.ああ、まあこの自分がやったからか。メッセージでタグ付けしたから。おー、15件あるんだ。なんで最初の5件しか見れないのよ。
Childhood sweethearts. Something like that. Are you married, detective? I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us.
あ、くそ。音。いや。
We spent the wedding night in a hotel in Brighton. It would have been too much to do more. We were saving for the baby. It was wonderful to be in a hotel, away from home, just alone together. Since then, we've always tried to get away for our holiday.
なんかこの曲名だけすごい気になるから先に調べてみるか。ああ、これだけか。なんかあんまり関係なさそうなやつから潰していくか。ブライトンとかこれだけでしょ。トレーン、多分これも関係ない。ウィッグ。お、意外と出てくる。
A wig? You mean? But what type of wig? No, I've never worn a wig. What kind of wig?
ああ。
This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but it could be anything. Have you looked at the cat flap?
この人は花なの？
This was 9, about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry, the kind of anger you can only have towards yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing and she tore it off. Eventually, we grew tired of fighting and I left.
これも残しとこうか。意外とね、ウィッグでいろいろ分かったな。公園は公園だけか。あ、もう一個出てきた。
I was living in the attic. It was a very hard time. I was depressed, was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead. They were in bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I slept through it. The police said it was the mushrooms they ate. Dad was a mushroom expert. He used to take us picking with him and he taught us how to recognise them. And there's no way he would have picked death caps. But the police believe that's what happened. They never even looked in the attic. ああ、メモ残してなかったけど
もう一人の出てこないか。いや、漢数字だからか、もしかして。もう一人の自分みたいなこと言ってて、なんかでもお父さんのこと気になってきたから、お父さん。お父さん7個あるんだ。
The whole thing was wrong. The bags,
あと
I
キノ
think
コ
they were from our kitchen. You can probably check that. We never go into the cellar. It's just a place we put things we don't need. Dad used to put
地下室も
mushrooms there.
あと
The
屋
bags
根
were
裏も入れ
taped
てない
up.
の。
I think it was parcel tape, but I think it was ours.
36、34秒。
They said it was food poisoning.
ああ、食中毒
There
も
was
入れてない。
something in the food they ate. My dad liked to pick mushrooms, grow them too. They said it was the mushrooms. It was hard to believe. Death caps. They have a skirt around the cap. My dad taught me that. But, I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone. And no one had any reason to hurt them.
うーん。
Must think it's very cool that their dad is a police detective.
刑事。まあとりあえず次のクリップを見てみよ
Mum and Dad had never had any reason to notice. They were always busy. If Hannah was eating a lot, they didn't mind. She didn't put on any weight.
う。ああ、妊
That
娠の
girl has a
話。
healthy appetite. If they heard us talking in the attic, they just thought it was Hannah playing one of her games, and that Eve was our imaginary friend. Once, she was already up and dressed and ready to go to school, and I snuck down for a piss. Mum saw me in my underwear and she went mad. Get dressed this instant! So I ducked into our bedroom, and seconds later, out came Hannah, dressed and ready. Mum was amazed.
これもなんか気になるな。もう一回でも聞いてみようか。
Mum and Dad had never had any reason to notice. They were always busy. If Hannah was eating a lot, they didn't mind. She didn't put on any weight. That girl has a healthy appetite. If they heard us talking in the attic, they just thought it was Hannah playing one of her games, and that Eve was our imaginary friend. Once, she was already up and dressed and ready to go to school, and I snuck down for a piss. Mum saw me in my underwear and she went mad. Get dressed this instant! So I ducked into our bedroom, and seconds later, out came Hannah, dressed and ready. Mum was amazed.
うーん。なるほどね。あとあと2個も見たいのに。うわ、13個もある。
It was after dinner. I'd spoken to Sam's parents on the phone. I looked up for an early night and I suddenly had this thought. I think it was something his mum had said. She'd been speaking about old stuff, sad stuff, about when we lived there, about the baby. There's some boxes in the cellar, nursery stuff we never needed, and I never had the heart to throw out. And I suddenly remembered that when I'd looked down there the week before, those boxes, that pile was in the wrong place. I went cold all over. I went down there with a torch and went straight to the back, and that's when I saw the bin bags. Pulled them open, saw the body. I screamed, and that's when I called the police.
なんか明らかになんか意図的だよね。いや、この死体ってなんだ？でも一応保存しとこう。
Okay. There's a girl and she's staring out of the window. She's sad. She's trapped. She's here. She's looking out the window because her mother won't let her out.
絵のテストか。
I would have been a good mother. I was young, but I would have been a good mother. She was a girl, by the way, the baby. We were going to call her Sarah.
Sarah.
Simon wanted to call her Ava after his nana, but I didn't want her to have a symmetrical name. My mother called me Eve.
?なんかどれから行こうかな。まだ見てないのあるけど、キノコとか食中毒あたり気になるな。泡も見切ってるんだ。食中毒。食中毒増えた。
At the time they said it was poison, food poisoning. I mean, I felt so guilty. If I'd still been at home, maybe I could have done something. I didn't. I got a job to contribute, you know. Doug knew someone and I got a job as a dinner lady at the primary school. They said it didn't matter if I could cook or not, just don't poison the kids. So you see, it's always been complicated between me and Simon. It's never just been the two of us. There's always been pressure.
なんか怖えな。こう。鑑賞。地下室。
Well, fine. considering. I got back into the house today, and that was weird, knowing more people have been there through my things. It's like I've been burgled. I mean, worse, obviously. I don't know. I haven't looked in the cellar yet. They sent a cleaner in. As good as new, he said. But they had to throw some stuff out. Couldn't get the blood out. And I'm still waiting to hear from the coroner so we can get a date set for the funeral. It's going to be a cremation. So,
葬式と検視官。検視官。検視の文字が。
it happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch, to make sure the alibi stuck.
9時とか。あ、もう一個出てきた。
I didn't. I slept in the car. I left about 9 that night. I wasn't there.
なんかこれも気になるな。ガムテープ。ないか。鑑賞。多分いっぱい出てきそうだけど6個。ああ、でもじゃあほぼ1個だけ見れないけど。
The bruise. I have a really fast metabolism, so stuff like that just comes and goes. I don't know if there's much more that I can tell you that I haven't already told the other policemen. I found the body. I
この時はまだ一人と言い張ってる時か。
His body didn't look real. And his throat. It looked like his throat had been cut. And I didn't see his glasses. There's these thick glasses.
メガネ
It doesn't always work. No. 1984 was an awful year in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was
義理
just
のお母さんはエレノアなのか
because of the circumstances, them dying together like
違うか
that. They brought in a lot of
え
police,
本当の
the forensic
お母さん
entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It's just awful.
虫
Really? Okay. Here's the rest. They laid a body on the dock to dry. Oh, the wind and the rain. Till a fiddler with a fiddle came walking by.
急に曲が始まった
Made a fiddle bow of her long hair. Oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, he made a fiddle bow of her long blonde hair. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And he made fiddle pegs of her finger bows. Oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, he made fiddle pegs from her finger bows. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And he made a fiddle out of her breastbone. Oh, the wind and rain. The sound could pierce her heart of stone. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. But the only tune that the fiddle could play was oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, the only tune that the fiddle could play was oh, the dreadful wind and rain.
ありがとう
Anything you sing may be used as evidence against you.
わからんダメだしたいねあとそうだな1週間前それはダメかいやとりあえずダグからお父さんという言い方じゃなく増えてる
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them.
どういうことだ
I hoover, I dust every week. Maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week. But every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day and it ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that. Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly in the living room. Nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
ああ。亡くなったのは、サイモンの元両親ってことか。でも、食中毒で死んだのは、エレノは、まあ大体セットで来るかな。
Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day. Not that there's anything much to say. It's more just...
ないか。今のは入ってない。言葉として認識されてないの。あとは給食の仕事をしてた。清掃業者、葬式ね。葬式なんかあるかな。なんか出てきた。
Yes, it was a cremation.
火葬。
For the best. We both wore black and had veils, so it was easy. And after the funeral, everyone came back to the house. Hannah served up sandwiches. And I stayed out of sight.
うん、出てこない。メガネ。いやでもこっちはサイモンの話だもんな。これだけか。鑑賞。虫。 ちもそこだけか。ん
Okay, you got me. I'll confess. We were there. It was a dirty weekend. Simon was going to expense it, pretend it was a business trip. I used a made-up name. We stayed at the hotel, had room service, didn't leave the room, had a great view of the river, and you could hear the church bells. Like you said, it was very romantic. It was supposed to be a secret. Just because Simon is dead doesn't mean I have to give up all his secrets. It doesn't have anything to do with what happened to Simon. No one murdered my husband because he cheated his expenses for a romantic weekend in Oxford.
メガネはメガネだけど、時計、ああ、
He was wearing a
これ
shirt,
結構早い時間だな。
a blue turtleneck shirt and jeans. He has a watch. It's a really nice one. That was a gift from his boss, Eric. He had his coat, a long grey duffel coat, like Paddington Bear. He would have taken that with him. It's not in the house. Yeah, that's Simon's watch. It was a gift from Eric. He got it this year. It was a wedding anniversary gift. Steel. It would have been Diane who chose it. She has really nice taste.
ダイヤ、また出てきた。
That time. You must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then.
ああ、出たー。もうでもじゃあ真相も分かってるんだ。時計のアリバイとか言ってたから。清掃業者、これも入れたっけ。タバコ、車、あ、違う。うわ、11個ある。
Yes, there's a car that we share, a Cavalier, and a van he uses for work. It's owned by Eric, but we look after it. Both of them are there now, parked in the street. I'm not sure about the keys for the van. I can look for you when I get back. I wasn't in the house all of Friday night. After the argument, after Simon left, I left too. I was upset and I wanted to get away. So I took the car. I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. Just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired. I just had to sleep.
あ、あ、やっちまった。間 間違えて消しちゃった。よかった
I left the next day, Saturday. I slept for a few hours in the car. When I woke up, I came straight back. Simon wasn't returning my calls and I wanted to try and make up. I got back to the house and Simon wasn't there. And I...
ああ、この後にか。座りがあるって言ってたやつ。
Yeah. I pulled over and slept in the car. This was just by the side of the road. I was exhausted.
あとはとりあえずエリックとかダイアンが気になるから。お、14個もあんのエリック。
So, it was Friday evening. We had an argument. He left. On Saturday, he didn't come back. I waited all day. He was supposed to go help Eric out with something on the Saturday afternoon. They had a job. He didn't show. So Eric was ringing on the phone. I checked at the Rock. That's our local. They said they'd seen him on the Friday night, but not since. He still wasn't back this morning. It just isn't like him at all. Still not back by dinner time. It's getting dark again. So I decided to come see you. His parents haven't heard anything either. Yes, that would be in his wallet. It's a Visa, a silver one. He doesn't like to spend money he doesn't have, so...
ビザ重要か。
Eric convinced him to get one. Eric was like an uncle to him. They were pretty close. They spend a lot of time with each other, especially when they have to go to conferences. Have you met his wife, Diane?
ああ、二人は夫婦なんだ。
Diane is really nice. She helps out with the glaziers, organises the Christmas party, that sort of thing. They have 2 kids, really sweet kids. She used to look out for me when I worked there. Not really. He would go to the pub. He had his drinking buddies there, but no one ever really came back to the house.
ああ、それが。
Sometimes Eric, his boss, and his wife would come over for dinner.
なるほど
That would be
ね。
us returning the favour. Diane is a really good cook, into her trendy ingredients. And the last time Simon cooked something off MasterChef, he got the recipe off CFAX, and I did my Lloyd Grossman bit, commenting from the sidelines. I had to find fennel from the supermarket. Have you ever eaten fennel?
また。
Simon and Eric arguing? No, I can't imagine they'd be arguing. And they get on so well. Unless it was something to do with work. Maybe Simon was being too much of a perfectionist. But I don't know. You should ask Diane.
ダイアナなんだ。ビザ。ビザビザ。ビザ。ないか。ザ・ロック。
It's the Rockington Arms. The Rock.
ピーターとス
It's run
ー
by a
ザン
nice
ま
couple,
た出て
Peter
き
and
た人
Susan. There's some other regulars there that Simon likes to drink with, and the barmaid they have in sometimes, Helen. Peter said Simon had been in and had a few drinks.
ヘレン
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Rock. You've spoken to everyone there. Someone must have seen where he went. I don't know. So many things could have gone wrong.
グラスゴーあグラスゴー出てきたうわ10件あるよ
Yes. I got to Glasgow. I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back. No, I don't think so. Glasgow was deserted that early in the morning. When I arrived in Glasgow, I was exhausted. The streets were empty. I was driving
え何
badly. And I hit a taxi. Not a big crash, just paintwork. The guy was so pissed off because I didn't have a driving license on me. But when I told him I was pregnant, he made sure I got to the hospital so they could check me out. It was fine. The hospital must have details when I was looked at. There's a scratch on the car. A police station. Yeah. When I was young, we ran away on my birthday. Bob Dylan was playing in London and we thought we could break into his tour bus and have him take us with him. The taxi driver we paid to drop us off. I mean, we'd saved money, pinched a bit here and there to pay for the fare. He was suspicious because we were so young, so he told the police. So they came and picked us up and took me back to Portsmouth.
あ
My mum picked me up from the station. But I blamed everything on my friend Eve. So my parents let me off. It's like I told you before. I drove. I took the car and drove. I don't have my own car, but I have a spare set of keys. I just drove north. I wanted to think, put some space between me and them. Everything I told you before is true. I stopped at Glasgow. I was tired, exhausted. I pulled out and I hit a car. My car was okay, but I was worried about the baby, so I went to A&E to get the okay. Everything was fine. Slept in the car. When I woke, I tried to call Hannah from a payphone. She wasn't answering. And then I decided to drive back. I had decided that she was more important to me than Simon.
うーんピーターとスーザンはここでしか出てこないのかあヘレンはもう一個出てくる
No. I think he spoke to Helen. She said he was upset about her argument, but I'm not sure what else he said. He likes Helen. He likes blondes.
ブロンドの女あまた
world's greatest guitar player. Okay. Probably needs tuning. No. It's okay. How about a traditional ballad? Should be right up your street.
やがてソブンガルデに
There were two sisters came walking by the sea. Oh, the wind and the rain. The eldest one pushed the other one in. Oh, the dreadful wind and
レイン
See, they both had a love for the captain's son. Oh, the wind and the rain. But he only cared for the youngest one. Oh, the dreadful wind. Oh, the eldest envied her sister fair. Oh, the wind and the rain. With a pretty little face and her long blonde hair. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. So she pushed her in and held her down.
どっちが姉でどっちが妹？ああ、でもそれは
Watched her as
出てたか。
she slowly drowned. Oh, the dreadful wind
イ
and
ブの方が妹なのか。
Oh, she floated up and she floated down. Oh, the wind and the rain. Floated till a ship came by. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Out comes the captain's son. Oh, the wind and the rain. Father dear, here swims and swan. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And then it gets really weird, so I think that's a good place to stop.
ああ、変な展開の後があの骨のやつか。死体のやつね。曲。えーっとダイアン、ダグ。じゃあちょっと突っ込んだやついくか。13あるよ。
We couldn't afford our own place. Simon dropped out of school, went full time at the Glaziers. That was Eric's generosity.
ガラス
He
や。
moved in with his mum and dad. They had a spare room for us
あ、でもガラ、
and the baby.
そこは名前出てたんで。なんとか
It
ブラ
was
ザ
a
ーズ。
nice change. Time to myself, living there for those months, full of hope. From when I woke up. Okay. I woke up. Simon was already up, and he made me birthday breakfast of eggs Benedict. We both had to go to work, so we saved presents till later. I got to work, had some birthday cake. Children sang me happy birthday. Then I came home. The birthday meal was a takeaway, and Simon gave me his present, which I didn't mind. And after that, we talked about the baby. Turned into a big argument. Simon left. I was furious. I wanted to get as far away as I could and get some space to think. So I left.
でグラスゴー行ったと。 違うんだよな。何がいいかな。いやー、子供は入れてないんだよな。子供。いや、そんな動機ではないのか。子供。13あるよ。
It's Rapunzel. The story starts when she's born. Mother Gothel, a witch, takes Rapunzel from her parents and keeps her locked up in this tower. Rapunzel gets pregnant by the prince, and Mother Gothel is furious, so she cuts off her hair and throws it. Actually, her hair's already short here, so that's already happened. So she throws her into the wilderness, and Rapunzel is reunited with the prince, who's blind. But she kills him with her tears, and so it's a happy ending.
へえ。
Is that too much? Sorry. The picture, the way it's drawn, just reminded me of the books we used to read as children. I read those fairy tales over and over, and they were so real to me.
これもテストか。
Rapunzel was my favourite. My brain is just full of it. Are any of these in colour? Yes. I read a lot as a child and watched lots of TV. Then the doll's house we had, we still have in the attic. It's kind of a fairy castle. We used to play up there and make up our own stories.
屋根裏って入れたっけ？入れてなかった。
Could the hairs have come from somewhere else? I mean, could they... We have a lot of dolls in the attic. There's a Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair. Could they have come from there?
髪の毛。
I'm not sure where the dollhouse came from. I don't know if it was given to them or they inherited it. I mean, they wouldn't have had the money to buy it. It was so huge. It must have been taken up to the attic in parts and then reassembled up there. It's a beautiful thing. Wallpaper to scale, little furniture, the lights work, mirrors, beds, big duvets and pillows. We spent hours and hours playing in it, invented all these characters and families who lived there. We wrote paperwork for them all, passports, diaries, and gave them all really elaborate stories. Once, a moth got trapped in there. We'd left a light on. It was making the most horrendous noise. We tried to kill it, but it was tough. We ended up crushing it under a copy of the Nights.
なんだっけ。毛。あ、もう一個出てきた。
What kind of hairs?
髪。あー、ウィッグの話が出てきたやつか。そことつながるのか。 うわ、くしゃみが。あとは、アリバイはここでしか行ってないんだ。時計、メガネ。じゃあもうこれか。サラだな。サラに関してはそこでしか行ってないの？サイモンに関してもね。サイモン、そっか、
Yes, there's an Amstrad one. No one uses it for very much. There's a printer so you can write letters on it. Simon sometimes plays games. You know, climb the tower, save the princess, that kind of thing. Simon isn't the type to run off or do anything crazy. Someone must have done something to him, or there must have been some kind of accident. So what do we do next?
11秒。
Please find Simon. I love him so much.
サイモン、サイモン、52もあるんだ。怪しいね。サイモン。でもサラ入れても何も出てこなかったんだよな。サイモン。8個に絞れた。
That's all that matters, really. The baby. Simon's dead, but the baby, that's how he will live on. Our baby. You're reaching here. I don't know why. No, I've never cheated on anyone. I've never taken anything from anyone.
浮気ね。まあ浮気というか。
Simon's dead. But I have my baby to care for. Why are you trying to make me sad? Why are you so obsessed with sex and affairs? You cheated on your wife. Is this your thing?
うわ
What did your wife do? She didn't kill you. You think I killed Simon because he was having an affair? Well, I didn't kill him. I wasn't even there. I was in Glasgow worrying about whether my baby was still growing inside me. I mean, why would I kill Simon? I loved him.
まあね、花がどう思ってたかだよな。あ、違う、消しちゃった。
I didn't murder Simon. You've got it wrong. You've got the wrong person.
花。
Hannah had a miscarriage. This was late in the pregnancy and it left her infertile.
そうなんだ。
Felt like the universe had corrected its course. We were aligned again. But Hannah and Simon were still living with his parents. They were married. Simon had a job at the Glaziers now. Derek had given him a full-time position after he left school. And then...
イブとの行為が浮気に入るのかっていうのがね、どうなんだろうね。7個あるんだ。
She's crying, I guess. She's sad because she thought she saw her husband with another woman. But it's okay, because she finds out it wasn't her husband, it was his brother. And so it's fine.
また怖いこと言ってますよ。
An affair? Simon wasn't having an affair. No, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on Simon. Have I ever cheated on Simon? You asked that question yesterday. Simon never cheated on me. He was devoted to me, and I was devoted to him. Nothing in life is easy. We were good to each other. Life isn't a fairy tale. You do what you can.
まあこの感じだと花なんだよな、やってるのは。出てこないか。でもそうだ。間違えた。ってことでしょ。でもそれは言わないんだ。 手詰まり感が出てきた。なんかない？だいたいさ、刑事。あ、1個増えた。
No, it's okay. The other detective has just gone to get me one.
それだけだ。サイモンのクリップが52でしょ。花のクリップが19。イブ。あれ、イブじゃないか。エヴァ。いや、イブだよな。あれ、イブの話はしない。
Differences? She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything. She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl. Hannah met him first. She had such a crush. I let him take my virginity.
あ、ライブの、ライブに、
Night that his band had played at.
あれ名前間違えてる。イブじゃない。あ、イブの部がウに点々だからイブについては7。
Well, my friend Eve. I mean, she was a friend from when I was a kid. And she was always more popular with the boys, and I used to hate her for it. I mean, really hate her sometimes.
やっぱうわー怖いこと言ってる。
Yes. We'd fight. We fought on the beach once, and I held Eve's head underwater. There was no one else around. It was at the far end of the beach, and I held her head under, and I kept it under. And for a moment, I just wanted to kill her and watch her drown. But that was it. It was just a moment. We made up after. It was a love-hate relationship.
7でまだです。終わった。あ、こんなんあるんだ。イブの妊娠じゃないんだ。あと多いのは、いや、サイモン関係か。これだ、見てるんだ。動機とかはなんとなく見えてきたけどな。でも花か。6件か。
The legal stuff was completed very quickly. Hannah moved back in with Simon. Eric gave Simon the week off to help with the move. He decorated, modernised wallpaper curtains. Hannah insists the attic be left as it was, dollhouse and all. Simon never went up there. After the kiss, the next time, he took me back to the house, to our parents' house, to their house. So, it was definitely him. I sometimes think he wanted to get caught to prove to himself that we were different people. He told me about his marriage, told me how his wife was completely different to me. I almost burst out laughing.これだけだよな。2人の関係性は見えてるし、なんとなく
サラについてどっちか言及しててもおかしくないんだけどな。いや違うか。サラにする、その子の名前がサラになるっていう。花、9時、誕生日って入れたか。あ、箱。
Yes, that's my birthday. Not one of the big ones, but I guess you can see that.
あと喧嘩か。
It was my birthday, like you said. We were going to have a meal at home. We had our meal. He gave me his present. I guess I didn't like the present.
ああ、喧嘩した理由ね。誕生日。誕生日、車、喧嘩。喧嘩はこれだけか。言い争い。出ないな。普通全部見さしてよ。232個。難しいな。不妊、そういう言葉ではヒットしないようになってんのか。鏡。
It wasn't the present so much. It was one of those arguments that had been simmering for a while. The present was a mirror, a nice mirror. He'd engraved the glass, the kind of mirror a princess would have in a story. He made it specially for me. The mirror. I can't remember. I put it somewhere safe. Upstairs, I think. I haven't looked at it since.
鏡。違う。 鏡ね、鏡13。鏡ね、なんだっけ。
Mum and Dad had never had any reason to notice. They were always busy. If Hannah This was about 9. I went round and she was waiting, and I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing and she tore it off. Eventually, we grew tired of fighting and I left.
これだな。
This was about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry, the kind of anger you can only have towards yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing and she tore it off. Eventually, we grew tired of fighting and I left.
まあこれそうだな、重要。
No. The parents decided there would be a wedding. And after the wedding, Hannah moved in with it to go exist. Hannah, drunk guys I'd met in clubs, in punish one of the. I mean, that seemed like the. And then I could move in. And that was the plan.
これは昔話だよね。決定的な証拠。
When we weren't together, we'd send secret messages.
あれどれだ、どこの時に。うわー、地下室だっけ。地下室とかの話が出てきたような。
It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us so we could then disprove it rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch to make sure the alibi stuck.
これ決定的。これか。重要じゃない。重要。地下室でも4件なんだよ。これだけじゃでもダメなのかな。なんかちゃんと なんかエヴァしか出てこないんだよな、この時間帯だと。花は出てこないんだよな。これって保存してなかったんだ。これがいや終わったかな。あれ終わった。打てないんだ。え、私がサラ、そういうことか。はい、なんとなく。これでいいのかな。まだ見てない映像もあったのかな。でも決定的なことがなんかおおよそ多分だから、花はいや花のこと言ってるんじゃないのか。まあ花もサラも花もイブもお母さんっていう認識なのか。そっか。バチバチ画面が暗くなって映ってたのは自分の顔か。なるほどね。でも秘密の暗号とかもさ、まだ解決してないんだけど。でもまあ物語の全容はなんとなく分かったからこれでいいのかな。まあ花がエヴァにイブにそう嫉妬してしまってサイモンを手にかけてしまったということなんだろうけどさ。 なんか今出てたけど、いっか。終了です。